My name is Sandra. I am 19 years old. Today, I will tell you a story about how I betrayed my mom. This story happened recently. I will never forget the pain in her eyes that day. I used to live in a big house. We had everything. My dad worked at a big company and my mom stayed home. Life felt perfect. I wore the newest clothes, had the latest phone. I never had to worry about money. I just asked for things and they appeared. That was my reality. But one day it all changed. Dad left. It was sudden. No explanations, just a note and a closed door. I just knew that life was different now. My mom was sad. She didn't cry much, but I saw the change in her. The house became quieter. There was no laughter anymore. Mom started working as a maid in a hotel. Her face was tired all the time, but she never complained. She just kept going. I didn't understand what was going on. I wanted things to stay the same. I wanted the same clothes, the same shoes, the same phone. I wanted to look good in front of my friends. I didn't want them to know we were struggling. I didn't want to feel poor. So I kept asking mom for things, expensive clothes, new gadgets, anything that would make me look better. And mom never said no. She always found a way to get what I asked for. I didn't know how she did it, but she always made it happen. One evening, we sat down to dinner. It was a small meal, barely enough to fill one person. You go ahead, Sandra. I'm not hungry, she said quietly, not looking at me. I didn't argue. I was too hungry to question her. I started eating, not thinking much about it. One night, I overheard mom talking on the phone. She was saying she was going to sell her necklace. It was the one thing she cherished most. She was willing to sell it just to make sure I had what I wanted. I didn't feel guilty. I didn't even think about it. I just pushed it out of my mind. I was too focused on what I wanted. Then one day, mom asked me to go with her to the hotel where she worked. When we went there, she started cleaning the rooms. I didn't do anything. I didn't want to see her working like that. I just stayed out of her way. I wasn't paying attention. I was too busy on my phone texting my friends. But then I saw it. On the nightstand in one of the hotel rooms, there was a diamond ring. It was shiny and sparkling under the light. I had never seen anything like it. It was beautiful. It didn't belong to us. It was left behind by the guest who had stayed there. But in that moment, I didn't think about that. I wanted that ring. I wanted to sell it. I wanted to stop asking mom for things. I wanted to be able to buy things myself. I thought it was no big deal. No one would notice. I could just take it and keep it hidden. So I took the ring. I slipped it into my pocket and walked out of the room. That night at dinner, I sat with mom at the small table. I had the ring in my pocket. I kept thinking about it. I thought I could sell it. I thought it would fix everything. Then it happened. When I stood up from the table, the ring slipped out. It landed on the floor with a soft clink. Mom froze. She looked at the ring, then at me. Her face changed. I had never seen her so angry. "What is this?" she asked. Her voice was sharp. She picked it up and held it in her hand. "Where did you get this?" she asked again. Then I told her everything. "You stole this?" she said, her voice shaking. "Do you know what you've done? If they find out, I lose my job. We'll have nothing." The next morning, I saw her take the ring. She didn't say a word. She put it in her bag. I went with her to the hotel. The walk to the hotel felt long. Neither of us spoke. I wanted to say something, but I didn't know what. When we got there, Mom went straight to the room. She pulled the ring out of her bag and placed it on the nightstand. I knew she had done it to protect me. She was risking everything for me. Later that day, the guests came back. They asked about the ring, and the manager checked the room. It was there, right where Mom had placed it. No one said anything to her. No one knew what she had done. "Sandra," she said, looking at me, "do you even understand what I do every day? Do you know how hard it is to keep a roof over our heads? I am working myself to the bone, and you're out here stealing like it's nothing." I looked down at my hands. I couldn't meet her eyes. "I'm only living for you," she continued, her voice breaking. "I'm only working this hard for you, and this is what you do? You act like a spoiled child who doesn't care about anyone but herself. You don't know what it's like to go to bed hungry because I gave you the last bit of food," she said. "You don't know what it's like to wake up every day exhausted and still keep going because I have no choice. I can't afford to stop." Those words echoed in my head. I had never thought about what she went through. I had never noticed the pain in her eyes or the weight she carried every day. I had been so selfish, so blind. "I'm sorry," I whispered, but it felt too small, too late. She didn't reply. I couldn't undo the things I'd done, but I could start making things right. The next morning, I made a decision. I found a part time job at a small shop near our house. It wasn't much, just washing dishes and sweeping floors, but it was something. I didn't tell Mom at first. I wanted to show her I was serious, that I was ready to grow up. Every day after school, I would head to the shop. I saved every penny I earned. Sometimes I'd use it to buy groceries or pay small bills. As the weeks went by, I kept working. I didn't go out with friends as much. I stopped asking for things I didn't need. I put all my focus on helping Mom. She noticed my hard work. One evening, after a long day, she sat me down. "Sandra," she said softly, "you don't have to do all of this. You're still a kid." I shook my head. I said, "I need to, Mom. After everything I've done, I can't just sit back and watch you struggle. I need to help." But her forgiveness didn't ease the guilt I felt. I couldn't forgive myself. Every time I thought about the ring or the nights she went hungry, my chest tightened. I kept working, kept helping, hoping that maybe one day I could make up for everything.